Family, let's have a conversation about being, okay? Your being. Who are you being? All right. And let's talk about my relationship, my personal relationship with my being. Okay. And what I got to learn about who I was being. Okay, family. Let me tell you something, family. I got to understand about being the moment I decided to cut the bullshit. Okay. And that's when I turned 30. And that's when, you know, listen, I turned 30 and I knew that it's a clean slate that God has given me, a whole brand new opportunity to be new, to decide who I get to be, a whole new era, so that's when I really met and understood what being really means. Right. So, listen, when I decided to reinvent my life and cut the bullshit, for me, it was like, baby, you are not going to get where you finna get being who you be. Okay. That was the truth I had to tell myself. You are not going to get to where you finna be being who you are being. It's not gonna happen. You need to cut the bullshit. Okay. You gotta cut the bullshit, baby. You gotta cut the bullshit. And that's really where the birthing of the process of cutting the bullshit really, that's where it stems from, right? That's where, when I decided to reinvent my life and, break the habit of being myself and just go on this journey with myself. It's really been a journey actually. And I hope I can remember. Let me just take you down the unlockings of my journey, right? So when I decided to reinvent my life, I really went through something, right? I'll be honest. I experienced loss of a friendship actually, and a relationship really. And because that's the thing, where I was in my last season before I became who I am, I'll tell you this, family. I am so grateful for the season I just came from, because that season really birthed who I am today. The experiences I had, the people I had aligned with, they made me cut the bullshit. And for that, I thank every experience and thank everyone that I aligned with, because I had to meet them and I had to have those experiences to finally birth this goddess that I am today. Finally, the embodiment I've always been. It's just the embodiment, so, okay, when I decided, I was turning really also the experience I had was very, very sad. And, that really made me introspect and just really get honest with myself. Like, you know what, Katli, um, you gotta listen, baby. I had to check myself. I had to really check myself. You know what I'm saying? And, that experience also, and it met me at the right time because I was turning 30. And, for me, it was like, listen, a new slate, a new era. I get to decide who I get to be. This is it. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot. I know a lot. I hold a lot of knowledge. It's time for me to be. It's time for me to embody the knowledge, the truths I hold. It's time for me to really show, you know what I mean? To put the work in. You know what I'm saying? It's time for me to show, so that's really what I felt as well. It's like, you know what? I get to just really, really just cut the bullshit. That's really where the process comes from. Like, there's no better way to describe my reinvention process, but just cutting the bullshit. It was really me, checking myself entirely. Like, it's time for you to just get honest. Self-honesty and self-awareness, baby, all the way. Okay. So the painful experience I went through really caused the awakening and the decision making of like, listen, it's time for me to cut the bullshit, right? And also, turning 30 was just perfect timing, the alignment right? Timing is everything as well. And that I called that I decided, okay, fine, I'm going through a reinvention. And that reinvention process birthed the breaking the habit of being myself, right? So to reinvent yourself, you must, um, meet yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to meet yourself. You got to see yourself. That's a self-awareness. You got to get honest, and self-awareness needs honesty. Self-awareness is paired with honesty. You got to get so real. Like you have to tell yourself truths that you've been really scared of telling yourself, that you've been really scared of seeing, right? So, yeah, so that was the reinvention. The reinvention birthed breaking the habit of being myself. And then, breaking the habit of being yourself, you really, um, yeah, you have to know what you're breaking, right? So you're breaking the habit of being yourself. Who is this self that you were? What is this identity you were embodying? So you get to break that. You got to see it, right? So there was a whole lot of, that's where for me, I got to learn about shadow work and I got to understand. I've always like, and here's another thing, family, what I got to learn with doing inner work and self work and just with the knowledge that I've just you know, I've held for so many years through the books that I read, through the podcasts I've been listening to. It's one thing to intellectually understand something, but it's also another thing for the truth, for truth to land in your body. Those are two different experiences. And so much of my 20s, it was me intellectually understanding, um, a lot of things that I just learned through the books that I read, the people I listened to. But in my reinvention journey, in my breaking the habit of being myself journey, it was really so much that it was the truth land. Like, and that's where I really got to see like, man, self improvement and transformation are not one thing, you know? Transforming is, is a death, you know? It's a death of an old way of knowing yourself and relating with yourself, you know? Breaking the habit of being yourself really it allows you to see who you used to be, right? And you get to meet, and that's where the inner child healing comes in, and also the mother wound, father wound healing. You get to really understand why you were who you were. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you come home to yourself. You come home to your true self, and you unshackle yourself. You unlock your freedom. You know what I mean? So that's really what the journey started off as reinvention, unlocked breaking the habit of being self, unlocked inner child healing, unlocked mother wound, father wound healing. It unlocked I'm coming home to yourself. It's just been a journey, and now I'm at a stage where it's where I'm finally allowing myself to be myself. And that was also such an aha moment for me. Like, I can't believe that I have to allow myself to be myself. It's crazy. Like, you would think that the easiest thing would be being yourself, but no, it's not. I'm actually on the journey of allowing myself to be me, and the release of the performative me and who I thought I had to be. And, because that's what JTD Wellness is really all about, right? It's really about, shifting from, the external, living to the internal living. The external living is just based on, the performing, the earning, the proving, the pleasing, the overgiving, the overextending. It's all just the external validation, seeking the validation external of you. And we learn that from birth, right? From, our environments, from our caregivers, from our parents. You know what I mean? They're the first people to systemize you, and when you break the habit of being yourself, when you shift your identity, when you come home to yourself, your true self, to God self, that's where you really get to see like, oh wow, like, I was conditioned, I was systemized, I was taught how to be, I was taught how to feel. So breaking the habit of being yourself, shifting your identity. Oh, I actually forgot shifting your identity. It's also part of the unlocking. But I'll actually go through it properly. I'll actually jot it down and really extensively break down how the process went for me, how the unlockings happened for me, you know what I mean? From reinvention to breaking the habit of being yourself to identity shifting to coming home to yourself to mother wound, father wound healing, inner child healing. So it's a rebirth. That's why I say it's really paired with a death. It's a death of who you've had to be, to live this life, to survive it. So it's the release and unshackling. So yeah, and um, what are we talking about? We're talking about what are we talking about, family? Gosh, it totally slipped my mind. We are talking about being, my being, how I got to yes. So really it was um how I got to learn and really um understand how who you're being is what determines your entire life, right? Your being, right? So who are you being? And the reason why I just took you down that the path I've went through ever since I decided to cut the bullshit, you know, um, it's really how I've had an overview of who I used to be and the girl I used to be, the girl I used to be in my 20th era, my 20s era, and I knew really as well that my deciding of cutting the bullshit was really about like, baby, you're not going to get where you want to get being who you're being. You know what I'm saying? And also I was just really over my life. I was over myself. I could tell the pattern I was living in, the cycles that were just repeating. You know what I mean? Like I would attract a different person, a different face, a different, like it didn't matter, but you would find that the cycle would be the same. The lesson was the same. The pattern was the same. It would be a different body, but same experience. It was just, I clocked it, through self-assessment, through introspection, through, um, seeing and telling the truth. I was like, listen, baby, like for me, I was just over my life. I just knew there's certain things that I just knew. I knew that I was not giving life my best and life was not giving me the best. There's just certain things that I had to just really, really just had to tell myself, like, Katli, that you're not giving life your best and that you have so much more to offer, and that you're not embodying it and you're not living it. You need to cut the fucking bullshit. That's what it was about. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to quit it. Like I had to really check myself. It was really in the process, just hope I didn't forget it. The process that I went through with cutting the bullshit is the first step is admitting that you're full of shit. Okay, that's the first step. It's like when you're at how the movies present it at rehab, how you raise up your hand and say, I am Katlerokoma and I am an addict. It's the same process. It's I am Katlerokoma and I am full of shit. Okay, that's the first step. And the second step, it's you gotta you gotta see the shit. You gotta be able to see it and name it. You gotta call yourself out. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta sit in it. You gotta smell your shit. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You gotta so you never go back to it. Okay, so yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then that's just the humor side of it, really. But there's more depth in it. You know what I'm saying? There's more depth in the process, the steps of cutting the bullshit, and it's really about like just getting to see who you used to be, and seeing why you used to be who you used to be. You know what I mean? So that's how I really got introduced to okay um, I gotta take who I'm being very seriously. Am I really living in alignment? And I just got to see the misalignment in my being that there's no alignment in who I desire to be and who I intend to be. So that's where I was like, listen, it's time to cut the bullshit and live in alignment and live in my true being.